What if Anakin never burned on Mustafar? In Revenge of the Sith, we witnessed how Anakin Skywalker became Darth Vader after his duel with Obi-Wan on Mustafar. After losing his limbs and being severely burned by the lava, he was rescued by Palpatine and encased in the iconic black suit that kept him alive. From that moment on, Vader lived the rest of his existence in constant physical pain and emotional torment, believing he had lost everything he loved. But what if things had been different? What if Anakin had never been burned on Mustafar? What if he had survived with all his capabilities intact? In this alternate timeline, that's exactly what we'll explore. So let's begin with our story. Anakin lay at the edge of the lava river without his limbs, but this time with the only arm he had left, he managed to climb high enough so the flames couldn't reach him.
You were the chosen one! It was said that you would destroy the Sith, not join them!
Said Obi-Wan from a distance.
Bring balance to the Force, not leave it in darkness!
The yellow eyes of his former apprentice opened, filled with hatred but still conscious.
I hate you!
Anakin's voice was hoarse, laden with pain.
You were my brother, Anakin! I loved you!
Obi-Wan knew he should finish him off but couldn't. The memories of years of training, shared laughter, battles fought side by side, paralyzed him. Tears ran down the Jedi Master's face as he walked away, leaving Anakin wounded but alive. It was a decision that would change the course of the galaxy forever. Minutes later, Imperial ships arrived at Mustafar. Palpatine descended personally, finding his new apprentice in critical but stable condition. A sinister smile crossed the Emperor's face. "Lord Vader," whispered Palpatine as the medical droids worked frantically. In the Imperial medical facilities on Coruscant, Anakin floated in a Bacta tank, while surgeons implanted new cybernetic limbs. But these were no ordinary prosthetics. Palpatine had ordered special modifications, circuits that could interfere with Anakin's connection to the Force, small inhibitors that would make him dependent on Imperial technology. "Why do these limbs feel different?" asked Anakin once he awakened, flexing his new mechanical arms. Palpatine approached slowly. "They are the most advanced that Imperial technology can offer, my young apprentice. They will make you stronger than ever." "And Padme, is she safe? Is she well?" asked Anakin. "It seems that when you were angry, you killed her," replied Palpatine. Anakin screamed and despaired. The room began to shake, and he destroyed several of the medical droids. During the following weeks, while Anakin recovered and trained with his new limbs, he began to notice irregularities. His connection to the Force felt filtered, as if something was interfering with his natural power. The Bacta meditation sessions became more frequent. Submerged in the healing liquid, Anakin sought answers in the Force. It was during one of these deep sessions that the pieces began to fall into place. The visions came like fragments of a nightmare. Palpatine as the Senator, whispering to him about power during the Clone Wars era. Palpatine feeding his fears about Padme, planting the seeds of terror that led him to the dark side. Palpatine smiling while ordering modifications to his limbs. Imperial technicians installing inhibitors. Conversations about control and manipulation. But there was more, much more. He saw Palpatine orchestrating the entire war, playing both sides like a master chess player. He saw how he had manipulated every event, every tragedy, every moment of desperation to mold Anakin into his perfect weapon. "No!" roared Anakin, emerging violently from the tank. Bacta spilled across the floor as his scream made the entire medical room vibrate. Everything has been a lie. His breathing was erratic, his mechanical hands trembling as he processed the magnitude of the betrayal. "Padme, you killed her. All this time you've made me believe it was me, but it was you." His mechanical knowledge, inherited from his time as a slave on Tatooine and perfected during the Clone Wars, would now serve a different purpose. For entire nights, Anakin worked in secret, carefully dismantling the inhibitors in his cybernetic limbs. The process was painful and dangerous. Every circuit he removed, every inhibitor he deactivated, sent shocks of pain through his nervous system. But determination kept him focused. With each component eliminated, he felt his connection to the Force strengthen. One night, Anakin completed his work. The sensation was immediate and overwhelming. His power in the Force unleashed like a breaking dam, flowing freely for the first time since Mustafar. "Master," called Anakin, entering the Emperor's private office in the early hours of dawn. Palpatine looked up from his documents, immediately noticing something different in his apprentice's presence. "Lord Vader, what brings you here?" Anakin approached slowly, his mechanical limbs moving with a fluidity they hadn't had before. "I wanted to thank you, Master, for everything you've done for me." Palpatine smiled, but there was caution in his eyes. "You have nothing to thank me for, my apprentice. Everything I've done has been for your benefit." "Really?" Anakin's voice was dangerously quiet. "Even the Force inhibitors you installed in my limbs?" Palpatine's face hardened instantly. His hand moved toward his hidden lightsaber, but Anakin was faster. With a gesture of his mechanical hand, the Emperor's weapon flew across the room. "How?" began Palpatine, but Anakin interrupted him. "Did you think I would never discover the truth? All this time believing I was the monster, that I had killed Padme with my own hands?" Anakin's eyes blazed with a fury that made Palpatine involuntarily step back. "It was you. It was always you." Palpatine regained his composure, his face adopting the mask of benevolence he had perfected over decades. "Anakin, my boy, I think there's a misunderstanding. Everything I've done has been to protect you, to guide you toward your destiny." "Enough lies!" roared Anakin, and the office windows shattered. "I saw it all, Sidious. Every manipulation, every betrayal. You turned me into your weapon from the time I was a child. The Clone Wars, my mother's death, my nightmares about Padme, all orchestrated by you. And when I finally fell into your trap, you kept me weak with those inhibitors to ensure I could never challenge your power." The Emperor abandoned all pretense, and his true self emerged like a snake shedding its skin. "Brilliant," he hissed with a twisted smile. "More brilliant than I expected. Yes, it was all my plan from the beginning. Every tear, every death, every moment of pain. All designed to forge you into the perfect weapon." His yellow eyes gleamed with pure malice. "Monster!" growled Anakin, his body trembling with contained fury. "Monster? I created you," cackled Palpatine. "Without me, you'd still be a pathetic Jedi. I gave you purpose, power, destiny. And now, even knowing the truth, you're still mine. The dark side consumes you as much as it does me." "You're right about one thing," admitted Anakin, approaching slowly. "The dark side consumes me. But this power you gave me to destroy, now I'll use it to destroy you." The battle that followed was epic in its brevity. Palpatine unleashed all his fury, Force lightning illuminating the room like an artificial storm. But Anakin, free from the technological bonds that had limited him, responded with a potency that even surprised the Emperor. "Impossible," screamed Palpatine as Anakin's Force lightning pierced his defenses. "I am your creator. Without me, you are nothing." "You're right," replied Anakin, his voice charged with lethal calm. "You created me. You turned me into this. But your greatest mistake was teaching me that the power of the dark side can be used to destroy those who deserve to die. And you, Sheev Palpatine, you deserve to die more than anyone in this galaxy." Anakin's Force lightning intensified, fed not only by anger, but by the pain of decades of manipulation, by the loss of Padme, by the stolen years of his life. "This is for my mother, for Padme, for the Jedi I killed believing it was right, for all who suffered because of your twisted game." The Force lightning surrounded Palpatine, but this time there was no salvation. The Emperor of the Galactic Empire fell, his body disintegrating under the pure power of the dark side. In the silence that followed, Anakin stood alone in the destroyed room. The echo of his breathing was all that could be heard. The Empire had lost its leader, but what would come next? In the following days, as news of the Emperor's death spread throughout the galaxy, Anakin faced a devastating realization. Knowing the truth didn't absolve him of his crimes. He had killed the Jedi children with his own hands. He had executed the Separatist leaders. He had strangled those who challenged him. Even if Palpatine had orchestrated everything, Anakin had been the one who chose to act. "Padme," he whispered, standing before a hollow photo of his wife that he had recovered from his old quarters. "I can't undo it. I can't bring you back, but I can ensure that your death is not in vain." The image flickered in the darkness as Anakin made the decision that would define the rest of his existence. He wouldn't seek redemption. That was impossible. But he could use the monster Palpatine had created for a different purpose. "What do I do now?" he asked himself aloud, standing on the balcony of Palpatine's former office, watching Coruscant spread out before him. The answer came when he saw the first riots in the streets. Without their emperor, the Empire began to crumble, but many Imperial officers continued oppressing the innocent. Moffs, admirals, and regional commanders clung to power, refusing to acknowledge that their regime had ended. A new determination filled Anakin. If he couldn't undo the past, at least he could forge a different future. But he would do it his way. The first mission came when he received reports that Moff Gideon continued operating in the Mandalore sector, enslaving entire populations. Anakin departed alone, without escort, without announcement. When he arrived at Gideon's fortress, He didn't ask for surrender. He offered no terms. He simply acted. The stormtroopers fell before they could fire, their weapons flying from their hands through the Force. Gideon tried to flee, but Anakin caught him easily. "Please," pleaded the Moff. "We can reach an agreement. I have information, resources." Anakin looked at him with eyes that had seen too much suffering. "The galaxy no longer needs men like you." A gesture of his hand, and it was all over. The slaves were freed. Imperial resources redistributed to those who needed them. But Anakin didn't stay to receive thanks. He was already heading to his next target. Thus began a new era. Anakin Skywalker, who had been Darth Vader, now operated as something completely different. He was neither Jedi nor Sith, but something new. He used the dark side, yes, but channeled it toward justice instead of tyranny. The remaining Imperials learned to fear the shadows. Slavers disappeared in the night. Tyrants found their fortresses empty by morning. And always, when help came to the oppressed, it came from someone who never identified himself, who never asked for reward. In a small cantina on Tatooine, a mother embraced her son newly freed from slavery. "Who was that man?" asked the boy, remembering the hooded figure who had broken his chains. "I don't know, little one," whispered the mother, looking toward the stars. "But I think he was an angel." Anakin watched the scene from the shadows, preparing to depart for his next mission. But something stopped him. A familiar presence in the Force, one he hadn't felt in years. He turned slowly, and there he was. Obi-Wan Kenobi emerged from among the dunes, his robe billowing in the desert's night wind. The years had grayed his beard and added lines to his face, but his blue eyes were still the same ones Anakin remembered. "Hello, Anakin," said Obi-Wan softly, stopping a few meters away. And here is where our story ends. Did you like it? If so, leave it in the comments and hit like if you want part 2.